So I thought I'd do this little video on us changing the headlamp washers on our Rover 45. As you can see on this headlamp washer, one of the jets is still there, whereas the other jet is missing. And basically what happened is one of the times it was being used, this jet actually flew out. So we assume with the age of it, probably the sun being on it, either the glue or the casing has failed. And on the other side, as you can see, a similar thing has happened. Basically, one jet is still there, the other jet has flown out. But in this case, the casing has eventually broke away again. And I think it is probably the sort of sun and age on it, because technically it's the age of the car. Right, so I've got to sit back inside the car for this little bit. Just thought I'd have this bit of broken casing out for you that's left on that headlight washer and the rubber seal. So what we've decided to do is actually buy two brand new headlight washer jets, as it's not that easy to get hold of them at the moment. There doesn't appear to be any sort of reproductions, although there's lots of reproductions for other cars, like the headlamp washers on Range Rovers, for instance. You can go onto eBay and find them quite easily and cheaply. There doesn't appear to be any for Rover 45s. I assume that's because a lot of Rover 45s didn't have these, and obviously they're getting older now. Second-hand or used ones on eBay seem to be very rare. There wasn't any when we looked, and there was an old listing, and it wasn't that cheap considering it was used or second-hand. And the way we looked at it is we could go to a scrapyard and find them, but again, if you get ones that are used from a scrapyard, they're going to be the age of the car, which the ones we've got on our car are that age. So you could go to all the bother of fitting them, and one of those jets flies off a few months later, or the casing cracks. So we decided we'd go for the new option. They were quite expensive, and probably if you'd have asked me whether I'd buy them a few months ago, I'd have said I'd be mad to sort of buy them new and pay that. But as I say, we want to keep the screen washer, the headlight washers, because they're here on the car. It'd be very difficult to do away with them, only removing all the pump tubes and filling the bumper in, and we think that would be a real shame. It's nice the car's got it, so we decided to get them new. We got them from Rimmer Brothers. I mean, you can't moan at the quality. They just seem to me the sort of price you'd pay at a dealer if your car was only a few years old, not in the age range of ours. So they come with the rubber seal and all the jets. We've bought both of them because, as you see, one's got a missing jet, one has broke up completely. What we also bought was the little metal brackets. I don't know if you can see them through that packaging. Because one of them was completely broke, we assumed that that bracket had been lost. We've since found that, but we're putting the new jets on, so we will change those brackets as well. So yeah, hopefully you can follow us through the process of changing the headlight washers on a Rover 45. That's how they've come, all in their packages. We get them out and show us fitting them. That's the first thing to do to gain access to the headlight washers is, of course, to remove the bumper. So the first thing we're going to do is remove these top sort of plasticky bolts. Not these are for the headlights. It's these two black ones here, and then over the other side you've got the other two. So that's what we're going to remove first. Then it'll be a case of finding the others and showing them to you as we go. Right, so once the plastic screw's removed, all you need to do is get your hand behind and just gently pop it up. That one coming up really nice and easy, and it leaves these bits in the bumper, which you can remove and put safe, or just leave in the bumper. So while we're doing this, here is the main earthing point to the body from the battery, and we've actually found these get corroded and can sometimes give you a bad earth, not causing you major problems, but sometimes it's just actually a bad radio signal. And by unbolting this and cleaning out the threads inside and cleaning the bolt under the wire brush, putting it back, actually is a well worth job doing while you're here doing this. Right, so once you've removed those top plastic bolts, the next fixing point is under the wheel arch. So you'll have to remove this plastic wheel liner. Hopefully you can just pull it back like we've done, and then it's going to be a job for you to see that there is like a little metal bolt under there, and if I come up round here it's going to be somewhere around there. It's just a case of getting right under there and undoing it. And then if we come down underneath the bumper, you've got a few fixing points. You've got this one here right on the corner, and these two here, they're only relevant if you've got fog lights and you don't need to undo them. And then if you come along the bumper, under to the middle of the car, more or less where the radiator is, you've got a fixing point here and one slightly further down. Then you'll come round to the other corner like the bolt I just showed you. You will need to remove the plastic undercover. Now it's already removed here because we've been doing another job. And what else will be holding your bumper is in the middle. You can see this like little metal bump here, and if I come down here, there's like this little metal bracket, and that sits or bolts on here and sits across over your plastic guard, so you have to remove that as well. Once you've done all that, that should be all the fixings holding the bumper on, and you should be ready to remove it away. That is the bumper all moved away. It certainly gives us a chance to get some of that dirt cleaned up and the moss on the headlights. Right, so now it's time to remove the headlight jet washers. Now this one is already half out and the clip was already broken away. It's just going to be a case of removing the hose. It's quite a big thick hose that goes onto these, but it looks like the clip that holds them on is the type that you sort of pinch or squeeze with a pair of pliers, almost like a smaller version of what's used on the radiator hoses. Once we've got that off, we should be able to pull it off and remove what's left of the jet washer. Right, so we've slid that little metal clip down the pipe, and we've managed to take the elbow bit out the bottom of what's left of this jet washer, which is useful to know that will come out. What we're doing now is we've got it soaking in some hot water out the kettle to soften it up, so hopefully we can then pull that little bit of elbow out that's remaining, so that we can then get the new screen washer fitted onto the hose. Right, and that's worked nicely. That's removed that elbow piece out, and there you can see how they fit together, and that's probably going to be easier to see than the one we're about to remove, where all the casing is on the jet washer. And that's left that rubber hose with the little metal clip pulled back, and you can see that is one of those clips that you pinch with pliers, as I say, like a miniature version of what's on the radiator parts. It is quite a thick, strong hose, because I think it does come out at quite a pressure to get those jets to work. Now we're on the driver's side, and as you can see, that jet assembly is all intact. It's just the little jet nozzle that's missing, and the metal clip is still there. So with this one, it's going to be a case of pulling this metal clip out. Hopefully I can do that there. There's the metal clip, that's released it, and then we should be able to pull it out the front hole like the other one and remove the rubber hose. And as you can see there, yeah, it's nice and loose. And what we've done, we've got the bumper propped up here and only moved it slightly away from the car because the hoses are on the tight size, and it's just easier having the bumper propped up rather than trying to take it away with all the hoses and fog lights attached and having to disconnect them. And that's it out. So it is a little bit of a struggle, but it will come out, and heating it up certainly makes a difference. And here is the old jet assembly there. As you can see, all that's wrong with that is the nozzle is missing. The good thing is that hopefully this is going to give us some spare parts, so if one ever goes wrong or perhaps we lose a nozzle, we can remove it from one of these and fit it to the new ones. But hopefully, being new and the fact that these probably well over 15 years old plus, and it's only now the nozzles are gone, we shouldn't have that problem anyway. So I thought I'd just show you the new headlight jet washer here. quite nice and new looking. That gives you a good look at the underside as well. Here's one of the new clips, and what this does is it sandwiches the headlamp jet washer body between the bumper and this clip, and it slots over those lugs like that and sits on. As I say, you can imagine then the bump will be sandwiched, and that's what holds that on. So before we put the new headlight jet washer back on, it's a great opportunity to clean all around where it was, and also it's a good opportunity to get behind the bumper and clean any sort of moss and algae on these headlights that you just can't normally get to. So that's what we're going to do now before we put it back. Right, so now it's all nice and clean, it's time for us to fit the new headlight jet washer. They are handed left and right, and the packets are marked left and right. I think it is important you get it right because of the way the jet pattern works. It's just a case of then pushing this through the hole. If you can see there, you've got two little holes and the main hole, and on here you've got those two little lugs sticking out through the rubber washer that going through there. First you've got to hook the hose up through here and reconnect it, and then it'll be a case of putting that metal little bracket back down the back to sandwich this onto the bumper. Yeah, and it's just a case of pushing that little elbow onto the rubber part, and it does go on a lot easier than it come off, and we did warm it up in the cup. Then it's a case of then pushing this little metal clip all the way back up to top. As I said, more or less identical to what they use on the radiator pipes, only a smaller version. That's it, locked on. As you can see, the elbow actually points the right way in the direction that the hose comes up in under the bonnet, which again confirms that you've hopefully got it on the right side. Now all you've got to do is put this clip down and slide it on. Hopefully you can see those two little lugs there, and this is just going to go in between the bumper and those lugs. Pushing it down, you hear the little clip, and that's on, and your jet washer should be nice and secure and fitted. And as you can see, it's all working. All we've got to do now is put the bumper back together. So that is the job done. We've of course fitted the other side as well. We're certainly pleased with how it's gone, and actually it's gone a lot simpler than we thought as well. They are a little bit dearer than we would have normally have liked to have paid, but we can't deny they do look right, and they are a good fit, and probably a lot better than any sort of replica part that might have been made, although we couldn't get that anyway. All we've got to do now is put the bumper back. What we have done is put one of these little plastic studs in both sides, and that just holds the bumper on while we're putting all the bolts on underneath. Again, I'm not going to show that because we showed you how it comes off. It's just going to be the repeat process. Don't forget, as always, to check out our other videos. Look at us on Instagram and Twitter, and as always, thank you very much for watching.